with our time at Coffin Bay having come to an end, we weren't really sure where we were going to end up, except we thought somewhere in those beachside camps south of Cowell could be the go. So we set off, and instead of heading down around Port Lincoln and back up that way, we headed across through Cummins, and it is a very pretty drive from Cummins across to Tumby Bay. Not a lot of places to stop safely. Well, there's places to stop safely, but by the time you see them, you can't really stop. Anyway, we drove through this place called Eddie Lilly, and that's not going to be correct. Edillie. Not sure how that's pronounced, but I'll go with Eddie Lilly, but I know that double L in there is going to say something about how I say the first syllable and the last two. Anyway, there's all these mobile silos in this engineering yard, and I always find it kind of strange in South Australia that they have this system. I guess there'd be a reason for it. So, up here in Queensland and through New South Wales, we'll run headers chewing off anything from 70 to 120 tonnes an hour. We have what's called chaser bins. Our American brothers and sisters call them grain cuts. The idea is that the more time the header's nose is in the crop, the faster the crop comes off, so that's pretty obvious. I've got a feeling that in South Australia they stop to empty into these bins. Now, I don't know if the crops don't generally yield heavily enough to run the chaser bin operation. Don't know. I'd like to talk to somebody about how that works. Because to me, an outsider, looks reasonably inefficient, but I'm sure those folks running the system know more than me. We're here at the Eddie Lilly silos, across the road from those little mobile silos. Wattle's starting to get a bit of a crank on. Where are we? August 4, 2024. At least I think it's wattle. Also looks like a eucalypt, so I don't know. You see a bit of crop back there in the background. A lot of crop here, and you can see, probably need a longer lens, but they seem to look like they farm up the hill till the tractor tips over and then stop. She's uphill down Dale farming here. Bigger screen will pick this up, I think, kind of. It's quite pretty, but not sure what happens when you get a big rain on those hills. If you can see back down there on that farm, there's another wedge of these little silos. Be interesting to see it work, see how efficient it is compared to what we're used to. You can see that's right up over the hill down there too. The day became particularly murky, windy, rainy, and we pulled into a little place called Arno Bay for lunch. Quite a lovely little place. Nice little cafe there. It looked like it was part of the caravan park. I can't remember what we had, but it was very nice. And this is Arno Bay on a rainy old South Australian day. More flat water. And as the weather worsened and it got wetter and stickier, we thought, well, we best go for a caravan park. So Cowell became the target destination. And funny, in Cowell, the lady told us that we needed to go down the other end where there was quite a few vans, and I said, well, what's wrong with this end down here? She said, oh, well, the toilets are getting some maintenance done and nobody can stay there. And I said, well, can't you walk down to the toilets? I said, I'd prefer to be down here on my own. She said, it doesn't worry you? I said, no, it doesn't worry me at all. And if I need a toilet, I can just 75-metre walk. So she booked us in there, and we ended up there by ourselves, which was quite fine by me. And funnily enough, just out the gate and to the left was the public facilities related to the skate park and quite a nice little area just outside the van park. So we went for a walk out on the jetty that is part of Franklin Harbour, and then down to the Cowell Siloart, which was a must view. And a lot of this silo art has a story attached. Of course, this story is about Lionel Deere, who was actually born in Cowell in 1933, and he had camels over the years and was a well-known resident. I mean, the story, you could pause this and read the board, so I'm not going to tell the whole story. And this picture contains him and his bull camel, or one of his bull camels. His bull camel at the time, Diamantina. Painting was commenced in August of 2019 and completed in 2.5 weeks. And Lionel passed on the 20th of the 12th, 2023. But apparently, if you read the board, it's a very nostalgic and moving piece for the people of Cowell. Got a little bit of Astro done at Cowell, very little bit. My wife was a tad uncomfortable out on the jetty, so didn't spend too long out there. Turned out to be a pretty busy sky. Only ended up with, when put into a time lapse, about a second. and the Milky Way wasn't that clear, too much light again. Kind of at the wrong time of the year. Jagged a couple of sunrises, neither I was prepared for at Cowell, but one was just a simple handheld. We did 2 nights in Cowell, and on our full day we headed out to a place called Cleve. Had a quick stop at the weir between Cowell and Cleve. And to me, an uneducated on South Australia Queenslander, the crops look pretty good. But a bit more on that shortly, and why I was wrong. If you're lucky, you can see a little bit of the uphill down dale farming over there. Very pretty. Not sure it's so much fun driving either. It's a bit of artwork in Cleve. We've got Reggie the Wedgie. And Bonnie the Clydesdale, I think. There's a fair bit of work going into Bonnie, and Reggie too, I suppose. And this big mural just across the road a bit from Bonnie. They're both put together by a local dude by the name of Peter Crosby. Park, there's a little bit of old gear in there. Trouble is I can remember using some of this gear. We're in the Cleve Centenary Park. Bit of old gear. Unfortunately I'm old enough to have used some of this shit. So, indicates that my time to the furnace is probably not long. Now on the way back, we took a different route back and stopped up here at this lookout sort of a place. Beautiful rolling hills and cropland and wind farm out the other side. And just as we were pulling up, there was a gentleman on the radio from South Australia Grain Producers or something like that. And he put it in perspective for me, and he said that the crop was about 5 weeks late to start with. I'm not sure how they plant in South Australia. Some areas told me that they planted dry and waited for the rain, but maybe they waited for the rain and it came 5 weeks late. And bearing in mind they don't get a lot of rain down here, and we're still on the Eyre Peninsula. So the crop was about 5 weeks behind, and although 5 weeks behind it had started well, but was now running out of moisture, and it looked like at that stage the crop was going to be severely affected. And looking back now, I think it was in a lot of places. So that put it in perspective for me. Just because it looks nice and green doesn't mean it's one at the right stage and two got any sort of decent subsoil under it. From the jetty at Cowell we could see some bright lights kind of eastish, and from the map it looked like something in Lucky Bay. So once we'd done the Cleve trip, and of course the bakery in Cleve was closed on the Monday, so it looked like it would have been quite a pleasant place, but closed on the Monday. And the lady in the information centre said not much happens in Cleve on a Monday. So we headed over to Lucky Bay. A couple of campsites there. That'd be a bit tough to get into. Would have been nice though. A few shacks or houses along the beachfront there. But of interest to me was the grain complex owned by this T-Ports crowd. Of interest for a number of reasons. They looked like they were loading their own boat, and I don't know, again, this is pure speculation, happy for someone to fill me in. So to me it looked like there was a boat out further in the deeper water. They were loading their boat out of the silo complex. They were bringing grain from their pad complex, bunker complex, using their own road trains into the silo complex. And whether they were loading the boat out of the silos or what the road trains were bringing in, or both, don't know. My feeling was that they'll load the boat and take that boat out and cross-load it into the boat out in the deep water. Could be completely wrong, but that's my feeling, because the T-Ports boat that they were loading had a fairly significant set of elevators structure on it for unloading, and it didn't look like it was going to go very far. Would have been interesting to hang around and see what was going on. There's another road train there turning up now. Looks like they've got their own road trains as well. So he's going to go in there and tip. Quite a few bunkers here at the T-Ports bunker complex. Quite a bit of grain there. Quite a few open bunkers. And just thinking about bunkers, at the moment we've had rain and storms almost every day for a week. Just trying to get my head around trying to build a bunker at the moment. There's significant bunkers all around the place here, even more significant as you get into to be a Torwood, Moree. So from Lucky Bay we headed down to Port Gibbon. Had a bit of a look around there, had a look at the campsites that we decided against due to the rain. Some quite nice beachfront jobs there, but anyway, we weren't going backwards. There are a few dolphins down in Port Gibbon. Look at that, we have a ship with surviving crew. Maybe they don't need the piercing light rays here. A little bit of shack life. The way the market's going today, it's where I'll end up shortly. Oh, there's one chap that was drowned. A fierce storm 4 miles south of Port Gibbon. It was interesting at Cowell. Second time I've seen it, I saw it at Coffin Bay, but it seemed to be more of them here. This procession of fishing type boats being towed down by tractors. So I assume they go out and capture sea type creatures each day and bring them back. Cowell, of course, has got its own Black Stump, and it started as a prank, or it was a prank originally, New Year's 1972. So it was kind of plonked in the middle of the street there, and signs on the pub said best pub this side of the Black Stump. So this large stump was placed between 2 hotels. So the first stump was stolen, that's keen, and this larger one was erected, and it also pays tribute to pioneers and their land clearing battles in the area. Imagine talking about land clearing today. So that would be Cowell, pretty uneventful. We're having a fairly uneventful trip and tour around. We did have lunch at, I was going to say bakery, but they definitely said we don't bake bread, so don't ask. But we had a very nice pie right on closing time, and I can't even remember the name of the place, but down in the main street. Some beautiful old stone buildings around Cowell. On the way out of Cowell, we went to have another look at the Siloart. Was going to try and get it in better light, and it's of course faces out into this rather large sports complex, and they're everywhere, rather large sports complexes. But there was a busload of tourist folks there. They got there before me, so I wasn't prepared to wait. And then they were doing what tourists do, what we were going to do, I suppose. But anyway, I didn't get the silos in the best light. Sometimes you get that. So endeth the Cowell part of the journey. Cowell, South Australia, Eyre Peninsula.